That did not save anything. Frustrating.
No.
Hold on. I mean, we're live right now, but yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
Turn the volume down.
Yep, my bad.
All right, frustrating. Welcome everybody to the HoboJoe show. We are streaming live to you somewhere out in the Mojave desert, deep in an underground non-military bunker. Tonight, our theme will be UFOs, UAPs, aliens, extraterrestrials, spooky matters of the sorts. This is something that we're going to try to do maybe once a week. We'll see how it is. Today's episode 0. I am your host, HoboJoe, and my co-host, Mr. NSTR, is joining me as well. He is the owner of Nothing to Significant to Report. Let me pull that up. He is also the sponsor of tonight's stream for episode 0. So we have his website here that you can check out if you'd like. He's got some wonderful merchandise here. And if you want, Mr. NSTR, you can go ahead and talk about your website.
Yeah, man. So we just started a couple weeks ago. As you can see, we've got our lovely website with a handful of products. We plan on putting more on there. Right now, we're primarily on our Instagram page. And we just started as a business, so we're trying to figure out what direction we're trying to go. But it's in the works starting now to run a podcast, potentially a YouTube channel, promote mental health, just military life, military culture, and hopefully branch out from there into other things. But yeah, if you can, if you want to, go follow us on Instagram. We've got a Facebook page coming up soon, YouTube channel coming up, where we'll run a podcast going over topics anywhere from UFOs like tonight, to mental health, leadership, military experiences, just generalized stuff, possibly talk about news articles, what's going on in the world, and we're going to try to cover a lot of things, but we'll see how that goes.
Awesome, that's wonderful. So we'll go back to our little nice wooded hangout here. Let me go ahead and pull up some of these overlays here, so that we have the hashtag for him if you want to check him out on Instagram. Tonight we're going to have $1.99 TTSs if you want to interact with the stream. See, we got everything else pulled up. All right. And then there's the Internet Explorer browser here. So the first thing on the docket that I kind of wanted to go into Later on in the show, we'll have like a call-in if we have time for it, a call-in special. We'll put a link for our Discord so you guys can come in if you want to talk about anything spooky or UFO related. You can hop on in and join us. And we'll kind of go into more detail later with that, but that'll be later tonight. So we'll go with our first topic here, right? So something that I wanted to talk about, something that I found a long time ago. You have the Freedom of Information Act that was passed a long time ago. So you can go and put these requests on these government websites, specifically the CIA, as where I pulled this one up from. They call it the reading library. And you could just pull up all kinds of, like Google, just all kinds of different documents, files, things like that. And I have this one here that is a declassified remote viewing session. And what they did is they had these people, these remote viewers, these guys that believed they were psychic and could view remotely from a location. And they had this whole program that was funded by the government to get these people together and then kind of see if it was possible to do that. So they would give them, during the Cold War, they would give them like Soviet things to look at and see what they could find, kind of like how we have spy planes and satellites and drones today, using the remote viewers instead of that technology. And this one's just basically a debrief of what happened during this remote viewing session. So it's titled Descriptions of Personnel Associated ET Bases, right? And so basically I'll just go ahead and read it because it's pretty short, but it says, so far have to run into 3 types of entities associated with bases of various locations within the solar system. So this guy's remote viewing, and he comes in to contact with ETs, and there's 3 in our solar system that he's talking about. So the first one he lists is Titan Base. All personnel observed at this base on the 20th of November 1986 appeared to be no different than native Earthlings. They were 2 male technician types sitting at a control panel of some kind. Behind them stood an attractive female with brown shoulder-length hair, wearing pale green lab coat or a smock. She appeared to be in some sort of supervisory role. So this is titled as the Titan Base, and I don't know if they mean like a Titan missile silo or if they mean the moon Titan, because there is a moon on one of our planets that's out there that's called Titan. Then we have Mount Hayes. There appear to be 2 types of entities associated within this site. The 2 entities located outside of the structure were accomplishing some sort of routine task, unable to make contact with them or gain information of any sort. Inside the structure were 2 entities, one sitting at some sort of circle console with a round screen-like object, and the other was busy doing something in the background. The entity at the console appeared to be human in form, but lacked definitive facial features. He seemed friendly enough and invited me to observe his actions at the console. So he's seeing this guy in Mount Hayes, and I think that's probably like, I don't know, Alaska. It's been a while since I've Googled Mount Hayes.
Yeah.
But
I'm not familiar with Mount Hayes.
You are? Where's that at?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
no.
okay. I'm not either. Maybe somebody in the chat knows where Mount Hayes is. Wang. Hell yeah. Welcome, JS and Chad Limestall. So they're checking out Mount Hayes, they're remote viewing, and he's basically saying that he's seeing that these guys are working at a computer station and they're inviting him over to come check it out and see what he's doing. They can tell that he's there, right? So then the third one.
Correct, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, but you were correct. It was in Alaska.
Oh no, you're good. So Alaska, Mount Hayes, right? So there's a lot of other spooky things that go on in Alaska. There's like all these documentaries out there. I think recently that people have been talking about, and we'll probably go into detail about them later in another show. But what's been coming up lately is like the Black Pyramid. There's apparently a Black Pyramid out in Alaska. Some sort of other structures that are hidden out there in the mountains. That's just Alaska's pretty large and spooky in general.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of room to hide stuff.
Right. So the next one is South America or Africa, and I think this is a little goofy, and I'll talk about it later. in a second here, but I'll go ahead and read it. There appear to be two types of entities associated with this site. Also, the first had a very large, round-shaped head on a slender neck, very unhuman in appearance, almost robot-like, unable to make contact with this being. The other entity was almost human-like in appearance. His face was devoid of any hair, his complexion was very pale, facial features were very indistinct, with the exception of a sharp, slender nose. This entity seemed friendly enough and approachable to be aware of my presence, or appeared to be aware of my presence, right? So this is what was written in the debrief, right? These three things. And the reason why I said that the South America / Africa, I don't think the guy was sure about where on the earth it was, because they have like these drawings that go with it that they jot down, these little notes that they jot down on these other pages during the session when it's happening. And if you keep scrolling down, like you can see like here's him, and then he's describing in this little drawing of what's happening, like he's in front of some sort of rough, rocky, natural terrain feature, like a mountain or something. But he like draws himself in like different locations and stuff. But when talking about like South America and Africa, he puts this drawing here, right? So to me, this looks like we have Europe here.
Yeah, that definitely looks like possibly be Italy up there, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's like Scandinavia and all that.
Oh, my geography's a little off.
Me too. Then right here we have I want to say like you have India and then like China probably over here somewhere. That's just like the general rough shape of what it would look like, right? So he's put South America here, which if this is Europe, right here, then it should have been like Northern Africa, but the shape of it's more South American than just in the weird location. So I don't know. I just thought it was goofy. And then he's got drawings of I think the person that he saw. But this is all like on the CIA's reading room library. I think it's just it's pretty interesting. Welcome.
Yeah, they've been releasing a bunch.
What'd you say?
So they've been releasing a lot more recently.
And then the other thing too about this stuff is like I don't trust anyway, like whatever the government's gonna like declassify. But it's just interesting to find these kind of like documents. So like especially one where like they're talking about like there's ETs on the planet and they have like bases and stuff around our solar system. But yeah. So this is the first document that I kind of wanted to go over. I had another point I was going to talk about with this one, but I can't remember right now. So with that in mind, there's also a dude, I think it's this one here. I'm not going to read the full thread, but it's on Twitter or X by an account called @IndSockEnjoyer, and I guess his name is Crypto Terrestrial Society Enjoyer. And it's, are you familiar with 4chan?
I've heard of it. I've never been on it, but I'm familiar enough to know what it is.
So it's like a internet Asian forum thread kind of thing, and basically there's like different types of categories you can go into and talk about. There's one for like paranormal activity stuff, and I guess this guy was talking about how he's some sort of he says, I have intimate knowledge of what the US currently knows about UFOs minus the last 2 years. So I guess apparently this guy, just to kind of summarize what he's writing, he did work in the government, and then at some point he got cancer and he stopped working with the government. So this is on 4chan. Obviously you want to take this with a grain of salt, but I just thought it was something to goofy and spooky to talk about, because it kind of goes with our theme for tonight, the UFOs. So he says UFOs are primarily unmanned drones. UFOs are built to spec each time they are deployed. UFOs are created by a mobile construction facility that hides in the ocean. Construction facility destroys anything that comes close to it and will disappear for days when approached aggressively. The US believes the facility has been active on Earth for at least 100 years or much longer. And then he says for people to ask him questions. And this is a really long thread. This guy posted like, I want to say around like 20 images, screenshots of this. I'm not going to read every single one, but I'm just going to kind of go over
Okay.
this first couple. It says somebody asked him Umamau, which is that asteroid thing that came through our solar system from deep space. So he says no, it's not anything to do with that. Is there any a working theory on the origins? If so, care to elaborate? And he says quite a bit, but we think that the construction facility has been around since at least 4000 BC. See sightings and paintings from the early eras of history. Someone asks, has any form of intelligible communication been established? Yes, it also depends on your viewpoint. They mostly want very little to do with us until we start to talk about war and nuclear options. It's one of the reasons why you see them so often at critical events. Do they know who or what is creating these crafts? Yes, as mentioned earlier, the Mobile Construction Unit is responsible for the deployment and construction. Any potential that they are made by a higher branch of the US government? Absolutely not. What allows them to fly so fast? What's technology? Gravity manipulation and the materials they are constructed from. We think their construction unit is driven by AI. The response time to threats is almost instant and usually very calculated and very well thought out. The majority of UFOs, as I mentioned previously, are built to spec and purpose. This is why there are always different sizes. The contents and equipment usually mimic the intended purpose too. And basically what he's saying in all these is that there's this sort of like big mothership that's in the Atlantic Ocean. He says specifically later on, it's in the Bermuda Triangle of the Atlantic Ocean. And they know it's there. They've been monitoring it with satellites and all this different technology. Anytime they try to send anything to come into contact with this ship in the Atlantic Ocean, it immediately vaporizes this stuff. And all the UFOs that you're seeing, the Tic Tacs, the flying orbs, all these things that happened recently, the one in Alaska that was like a year or two ago when they were having the big threat of balloons, they're saying all these things were created by this one mothership, and it's spitting these things out to spec. So each one has its own specific mission, so it's constructed for that one specific mission. And I guess he's saying in some of these, he's talking about how back in the day, like Roswell time, these things were manned by whatever, right? These entities that biological creatures, whatever they were. But nowadays they're more unmanned, and I guess they have like to reduce, what do you call it? To reduce risk, right? To reduce risk.
Yeah.
So they've just been like spitting out these unmanned things and doing it a lot more lately. He was also saying like later on in the thread, he was talking about how there's a spots that are like cause a lot of accidents for them when they're like flying manned. Like one of them was in Mexico for whatever reason, so they have like a lot of crashes in these areas. I just thought this was really like, it was interesting. It's probably not real, but I just thought it was like, oh, you know, that the Bermuda Triangle. Who would have thunk, you know, where all the weird things that happen in the Bermuda Triangle. Apparently, there's been this thing that's there. That's just why I wanted to bring it up tonight. Matt Fury sells NFTs now. He created Pepe, Chad Limestall. Okay. I didn't know he created it. He made NFTs. That's funny. I wonder if has anybody like making, like, is that still a thing? NFTs, like it blew up a long time ago, but I don't know. I don't know nothing about that. All right. What do you think about that?
I think some of it's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't necessarily, like you said, I don't think it's necessarily real. There was one thing I kind of noted that was pretty significant, and I think that was more of, you know, he talks about how they build them specifically for the, you know, whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. And then you also mentioned that they're originally manned and now they're no longer manned and now they're just drones. I think that's kind of significant because it's pretty similar to what we're doing today. You know, if you look around, the invention of drones has kind of changed the way the world works, in terms of just how we do a lot of different things, whether that's, combat like we see in Ukraine and Israel, or, surveying houses, surveying land. It cut down costs and helps cut down risk. When you have a device that you can put up in the air, it's got a camera on it. You can look at whatever you want, you can see whatever you want, fly wherever you want, and you don't really have to worry about risking your own life. So I think that's pretty important, just because that piece right there specifically is kind of really the only thing I could see being real, I guess. It just makes sense to me that, you would try to, if you're trying to do intelligence, you're trying to gather information, and, if you're already having issues, like you said earlier, they're crashing in Mexico and they're crashing all over the place, why continue to use that risk, or put yourself in that situation where there's that high risk, when you can just send out a drone. It's going to be way more efficient than a human, and you're not risking lives. So
Yeah, that's the same thing that I was thinking. Like, they've sort of learned from their mistakes in the past, and they're just like adapting to that.
Yeah. The only thing that I think is kind of weird, that just, I think at the beginning he says that they've been here for about 100 years, maybe more. To me, it's just, if you're that advanced, why did you take so long to make the drones? That's just kind of weird to me, but
yeah, that is kind of goofy. The other things that he was talking about were like how they don't really have any interest in humans, and they are more concerned about like the resources on the planet and preserving the planet. And he says that it seems like these things are less interested in people and more waiting for either us to get to a certain event or for something to arrive, is his conclusion. But he doesn't, I guess it's so compartmentalized where he was talking about from his experience, where he was working and what program he was in, that he doesn't really know what the higher ups or the government or whoever thinks about those types of questions. But that's just what he's speculating from what he saw. Oh man, I wonder if I can find it. Did I put it in here? He also talked, there was a bunch of goofy stuff. I think I saved the image. I wonder if I can pull it up. But his job, while I'm pulling this up, his job was specifically to remove technology from these downed ships, and that's how he figured out all this information. And I guess like the compartmentalization of these jobs, like the first response guys go in and they like make sure that nothing's still alive, and if there is something still alive, they take it, and then their job is to go into the ships and then remove anything that's like technological, radar, travel system, stuff like that. Where did I put it? So I that's kind of interesting. And then he was talking about how what is that guy who came out in like the 70s or the 80s? What is his name?
I know exactly who you're talking about. That's who I was thinking of.
I can't remember his damn name.
He was on the Joe Rogan show.
Yeah, Dr. something.
Yeah, he's like 16 years old, built a rocket ship for a car.
Yeah, he's got a rocket car, and he was like raided by the FBI.
Yeah, I think he worked for, was it Skunk Works or something?
Yeah.
One of those old companies that were doing stuff out in Area 51. Let me see if I can find him.
I built a specific folder for this. I gotta pull it up. Here we go. Is this it? Nope.
Bob Lazar,
right? So yeah. He's saying his job was the second guys to go in, and he removes this technology from these ships, right? And then Bob Lazar's job was to reverse engineer the engines, essentially these crafts, to make them, to build our own and fly them, right? Oh, I found the images. Here we go. And I wonder if I can find the one that he's talking about. But Bob Lazar like comes in. He's like the third or fourth guy to come in and do his job. So that's how compartmentalized it is.
Yeah, it makes sense. You don't want to, you don't want to keep everything in one area with, a handful of people knowing everything. You're running the risk of, a leak. You're running the risk of, you're just, if you keep it compartmentalized and you keep people out of the know, if it's not their business, if it, on a need to know basis, you're kind of just, you're protecting what you have. So it makes sense.
There's another one he talks about. Let's see if I can pull this up into the stream here. Which title is this? Number 10. We're pulling up photo number 10. Can I just dump this in there? I can't. I'll just read it. Anyway, so he says somebody asked him, do you believe shoot, where did it go? There we go. Was it accident of them not knowing we'd be damaged by their equipment or do they not care? And he said, if found, they usually monitor us. If approached at an uncomfortable distance, they flee. When concerned, it doesn't end well. Their tools can do harm to us, even for just scientific purposes. And then there's another one he talks about here where the equipment that he's pulled from these ships, or he's helped pull from these ships, there's like a type of stun gun thing that they have, like a little stun baton that he's found, and he doesn't think that they're very friendly because of the purpose of that. And I guess it makes you go into some sort of catatonic state for like an hour.
Oh, dude, I would have so much fun with that.
That'd be not good.
I could not be trusted with that.
No, I don't think anybody can. And then there was another one. Somebody was asking him, what was the coolest thing he's ever found, while doing his job, and he said that there was one ship that they found crashed, and it was like a DNA like medical research facility, but I guess it was really damaged and it ended up getting like destroyed before he could do like that much work on it. So he didn't really get a lot of time with it, but he said that was the most interesting one that he saw. There's also another section he talks about lights, and he says that like people, when they see lights in the sky, he was saying that like white is more of like a navigational light, and that they have an orange light that's more for like scanning minerals and looking for resources, and then they have a red light that they use for like, you're a hostile, I'm about to vaporize you. It was interesting that he talked about lights, because people talk all the time about lights in the sky, but he associated these lights with, I guess they figured out what they mean in his sense. If this
That's
is
kind of weird, because if we just had the fires in Hawaii, and there was reports of people seeing blue lights, and then they correlated them to only certain vehicles were burned and stuff. That's kind of weird that he talks about lights, and then now we're seeing stuff come out where they, like the Hawaii fires, where only certain things were burned, and then I don't know. I just saw I think it was an Instagram post or something about it, but pretty weird.
Right. Now, me, Joe, HoboJoe here. My stance. I just want to put that out there that if extraterrestrials are real, all these things that they're finding nowadays, and I will never falter from my opinion. I believe they're demons. That's my opinion. That's what I think. I'm pretty sure they're demons. If they exist, they're demons. They're not some thing from another planet. They're a demon. But that's just my opinion on that. Right. So the next thing I wanted to bring up was the mantis people, the insectoids. See, can we see this? Yes, we can. Stupid ad, but we can see it. Yeah, so there's these different species of aliens that people say are out there. You have the grays that are the common thing that you see in TV and movies and stuff. They say that there's tall whites that look like us humans. They're just really tall, blonde hair, blue-eyed. And then there's reptilians, like lizard people. Like our government is controlled by reptilians. And then you have the insectoids, right? So these are these goofy-looking bug people.
Dude, if I saw that walking around outside, I'm done.
I think we're all done. I think in some countries you already see them walking around outside. But anyway, so insectoids, right? So you have it says that insectoids are mantis-like aliens, and they are among the many different types of aliens reported by abductees from around the world. They are described as tall with 6 legs and a peaceful demeanor. Although they speak to each other in cliques, they are able to communicate with other beings via telepathic abilities. Insectoids have been seen during abductions, working alongside with other types of aliens such as the Greys or the Reptilians, usually performing various types of medical experiments. And the reason why I'm bringing up the insectoids is it's more of like a talking point to go into these next articles here or posts. But there's have you heard what's going on in South America right now?
No, actually, I have.
So there's these villages in Peru that believe that they're like under attack by insectoid people, and there are these little like village people living in the jungles of South America, and they saying every night there's these creatures that are coming in, and they describe them as looking like the mantis people. And they're like attacking their village, and they're using like shotguns and stuff like that to fight them off. Little farming, like one-shot shotguns and stuff. But there's this video here, like a minute long.
The insectilin and whatever it is in the video, and we played it back, and there's just all of them. There's probably
That's
5
wild.
guys standing behind us that are
Yeah, I don't know if I can deal with that. That would have been.
That's it. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what's
Hold on.
there. This insectilin picture. That's it. That's what we're looking at. Look at it. It's moving its head. You can see the light on its eyes. And we told them we don't know what this is, but maybe it's this.
Yep.
There's a possibility. We don't know. And up until this point,
Yep.
our security detail, these Navy commandos, were cool as a cucumber, right? They were hearing all of the accounts, all of the testimony. They were with us the whole time. We would discuss it with them later on. They heard everything that was said in the village. The Pelacadas, they were there when we interviewed Talia. None of that fazed these guys. These guys are very professional. None of that fazed them. But after they saw that video, I remember Henry, who's a jungle survival instructor, Henry put his hand over his mouth like this. And he's just looking, and he goes like this. He said, "Now I'm a little nervous." That makes me nervous.
So there's this video, right? So it's called from this channel called Twitter page, X page called Peru.attacks or at Peru_aliens. And I guess this page has been covering a lot of what's been going on recently in Peru. There's this guy that came out. You saw him in the video talking, and I really don't know who he is. I'm assuming maybe he's like Timothy Alberino. That looks like him right there. And it says he's an author, lecturer, explorer, and filmmaker. So he heard about the attacks in Peru, and he wanted to go like film it and see what's going on. So I guess he's there right now, and he has like a security detail with him, and he's saying that all this is real, but who knows what really is happening. In the beginning of this video, though, I guess they had this snippet of what looks like a mantis person creeping around in the darks, and there's this other post that somebody, like, I guess they did an analysis on it. So on this Twitter post here, and they really like zoomed in onto what it is. And they kind of did these different like overlays on it to get a better look, so you can kind of see that like maybe there's like a mantis arm here, and like a little big eyeballs, and then you have like a beak looking thing here. So that's kind of interesting if true, who knows. But the main argument that I've been hearing on Twitter and all these places is they're saying that the natives are saying that they're being attacked by the creatures are flying in to their village, and they're attacking them from the sky, and they can hover and float around. And I guess there's like these cartel that are in South America that have access to some sort of jetpack that's out there. I guess maybe if you're
okay. Yeah, I do think I actually heard about this. They found like 2 or 3 guys or something just creeping around the woods with jetpacks, in costumes or something on, or like maybe some camouflage or something.
some kind of like helmet, like motorcycle helmet, but it's like elongated to like protect them when they're
Yeah, I
flying
think the
around on
article
these
I read
things.
said they're trying to basically scare the villagers away because they're trying to keep them out of a specific area where they're doing grow operations or whatever it is they're doing.
Right. So I guess if you're in the cartel, you have enough money to buy yourself a team of jetpack people and fly around into these little like third world huts and scare people off. But I mean, I guess these villagers are fighting back. Apparently, they're shooting at them, but I don't know. I guess that's not affecting them. Maybe they like have body armor or something. But there's another video too where they're saying that this is a confirmed. A villager filmed a guy in a tree, and he's speaking Spanish, and he's saying bad words about this guy in this tree. But you can't really tell who or what that is. It looks like there's something in a tree, maybe a monkey. Who knows? But that's what they're saying. They're saying that there's these mantis people floating around, flying around on jetpacks out there.
I mean, if it's anywhere, I could see it being down there. You know, they're in the jungles. You could hide a lot of stuff down there. You could, obviously the cartels operate out of there, so they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff down there.
Who knows what's going on in these jungles? I don't even know if they have internet. Maybe they have Starlink or what. Scooby-Doo cartel. Yeah. That's definitely how it is. Yeah, it's not a monster. It's somebody in a suit that's hiding out in the bushes. There's this other clip. I don't remember what this one's about. I guess this guy's describing what he's seeing. This villager to him. Hold on, it's buffering. Maybe it won't play. Maybe it's deleted.
That means
I was
it's true then.
surprised by how many of the villagers had actually encountered the so-called with lights of varying color of circular that can hover on top of circular platforms that are about 3 feet in diameter and that can hover in place or accelerate at high rates of speed. These platforms are encompassed with lights of varying colors and are completely silent as they move through the village, except when they accelerate off the ground, at which point a sound something like compressed air can be heard. The assailants sometimes land the platforms in the jungle, dismount from them, and walk or float into the village. When they are chased out of the village, they remount the platforms and lift off into the air. Some of the circular platforms are extra large with a diameter of about 10 feet and carry 2 people rather than 1. It is interesting to note that the assailants always come in pairs. There are always 2 or groups of 2. Aside from the flying circular platforms, the assailants are also equipped with advanced aerospace vehicles, what we might call UFOs. These craft have been seen by multiple people in the village and are described.
Essentially, this guy's describing, what they're seeing. There's these. To me, this sounds like cartel. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. It sounds like people. It doesn't sound like aliens to me. But who knows?
It sounds to me like somebody got a lot of money and they invested it in some maybe hovercraft or something.
Right. And then I think that pretty much wraps up what I had for tonight's topics, the insectoids and everything. So let's just see if there's any no new chats. Cool. So if you want to, we can go roll into your topics.
Yeah, that's fine. Works for me.
Which one do you want to? You want to just roll into it, or do you want to tell me which one to click on?
Let's see. What do you got up first? However you want to do it, man. Whatever's first, we can roll right into it.
There's this YouTube short here that you sent, episode 47. Mysterious lights appear in the sky.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, do you want to talk about it, or do you want to just play it?
If you want to play it, and I'll kind of narrate as it's going.
Okay. And if you need me to pause, I think I can pause it too.
Okay.
I saw this video. It was in Arizona, and you saw this thing. It looked like a meteor coming down. And they're like, "Oh, wow!"
As you can see, it's pretty blurry. And it looks like something's falling out of the sky.
It breaks apart, and then these like 3 or 4
I was an army brat growing up. My dad was a Golden Knight.
And the lady's like, "What?"
To me, what this looks like
someone caught something almost exactly like that.
Skydivers doing a night jump. They have these usually during the day. They'll jump with smoke canisters on their leg. When they do night jumps, they'll jump with. It's basically like a smoke canister, but instead of smoke, it puts out sparks, kind of like a giant sparkler, just so people can see where they're at while they're doing their jumps at night. And usually when you see these videos, they're always in like a major town where they're holding a big event or something, like a football game, baseball game, some sort of sporting event, or just, a parade, a festival, stuff like that. But I've seen a lot of these circulate over the years, and I just thought it was interesting because I see a lot of people getting crazy and hyped up about them. But me, growing up, I've always seen those, and to me, that looks exactly like a bunch of skydivers doing a jump for an event and wearing canisters that emit sparks, so you can see them while they fall.
Right, like out of like over like big like football stadiums or like soccer fields and stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely looks like how they're like in one of these parts of the clip, it shows like that they're all together and then they sort of spread out. So I could believe that, like here.
That right there, what you're seeing, that actually is a move that they do. I guess a move is what you call it. But they'll fall out of the aircraft in formation, and then at a certain altitude they'll break away, kind of like a bomb, and just burst away from each other. And that's so that they can open their chutes safely and make sure nobody's in the way. And then as you can see, they're kind of floating. They stopped. That's them opening their chutes, and now they are in another formation, preparing to land. And usually they're carrying an American flag, a team flag, something like that. So now they're going to start moving and making their way into a formation to land into wherever it is they're jumping into.
I was just thinking.
I just think it's interesting because a lot of people get excited over it, and it's always funny seeing that.
You could really spook some third worlders in an Amazonian jungle somewhere in a hut.
Definitely, you definitely could. I remember, I've heard, I'm sure you have too, heard the stories of when we first entered Afghanistan. Back in the day when we invaded Afghanistan, they were, riding horses to get everywhere. Their technology, they didn't have internet. They don't know what a lot of the stuff is that we have. So you got army guys running around with night vision on, and it emits a glow around your eyes. And they would call these guys the devils with, I think it's like the devils with green glowing eyes or something like that. But yeah, you could definitely do some crazy stuff with that. You jump into a country, like Peru, for example, where, technology's not there. Maybe they don't have a lot of internet access, or they're, isolated in these areas, and you drop some dudes in with that. I promise you, you're going to stir some stuff up.
Right? Maybe like those mantis Peruvian, Colombian drug lords out there on the jetpacks, right? Spooking these villagers.
H2D Dildil. Can you explain to me how babies are made?
Well, anyway,
YouTube videos for that.
So Smithy Boats here says, fish fact, the mantis shrimp is not a fish, but a fascinating marine creature with a powerful claws for hunting. Awesome. Shrimp. Fried rice. Hell yeah. I gotta reprocess that because I kind of read that out loud and I just did not understand.
You just said it. Don't feel bad. I'm doing the same thing as you're scrolling.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So yeah, that's the first clip there. It definitely makes you think a lot about those like Colombian drug lords on jetpacks.
Yeah, I've seen other videos too where you see the lights and they look like a triangle. Again, being an army brat, I watch military aircraft all the time flying around. You can't hear them, you can see them. They got their positioning lights on. And when you're looking at them from the ground in the dark, it can look like it's just a triangle flying around, but in reality it's just your left and right wing and your tail just making weird shapes in the sky just from your point of view. But yeah, if you want to move on, we can. If you want to keep talking about other stuff that I think is fake, we can do that too.
No, that's cool. There's this other clip you sent here. Let me pause this one so it doesn't fuck with anything. All right. You want to just go ahead and play
Oh,
it?
okay, yeah, yep, yeah. You can go ahead and play it.
I'll
So what
refresh
you're
it
gonna
so it
see
plays.
here is this orb flying around. The video itself appears to be a drone footage, and this clip I wanted to show because I've personally seen that. I was a drone operator in the Army, and during my deployment to Iraq back in 2019, we saw this all the time. And most of the time, we were in IR. So if you're not familiar with infrared, it's basically like it picks up hotspots and kind of highlights them for you. And we would be scanning around, doing a whole lot of nothing, staring at rocks, and these would fly through our screen as we're scanning. And there was a couple times we followed them. They move really fast. Every time we try to zoom in on them, this is probably the best video I've seen so far come out. I definitely didn't get nearly as clear with my camera as this guy did. But it was weird because we saw them all over Iraq. When I was in Afghanistan, I don't think I saw them. If I did, I usually passed them off as birds. But in Iraq, it was just weird because there's, we would see birds flying and they're a little bit slower. These things would, they would haul ass. They'd be going fast. They'd make sudden turns. And a lot of the times we would lose them just because we can't keep up with them. Our aircraft was super slow. We're flying a drone that goes a max of like 90 knots if you can get it up to that. And it's hard to, even though with a camera that I can look out and see, probably like 5 miles with, they're still hard to track. And then I don't know if you remember the Tic Tac video, I'm sure you're aware of it, but it's pretty similar to that. Theirs was a little different just because they were already going fast and having issues keeping up with it. These ones seemed to kind of just be floating around and not really interacting with us. And it didn't look like they were interacting with the environment they were in. It looked more like they were just kind of floating around, flying around. A lot of times we would get pushed off of them. Whoever we were working for would tell us, hey, you can pull off of this. It's just a bird. But there's other times where, they would tell us, hey, keep watching it. We're not sure what it is. So it piqued some people's interest. Some people pass it off as animals, birds. Could be a drone. Could be a lot of things. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
I just wanted to pull up the Tic Tac video here. What was that noise? Welcome, new subscriber. I can't see you because I just covered your whole alert thing there, but welcome. Thank you for subscribing. So there's this Tic Tac video I pulled up you're talking about.
Yeah.
This part. This one? Like over the ocean?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I also thought it was weird. Now that you bring this up, it reminds me of what you brought up earlier, where the guy was saying there was this facility making drones in the ocean. I think, if I'm not wrong, the pilots actually said that while they were following this, it just dove into the ocean and just disappeared, doing like 1,500 miles per hour or something crazy.
Mach 3 or something crazy.
Yeah, right? But they said that while they were tracking it, it dove into the ocean and just disappeared. I believe that could be a different story, but
awesome. Thank you, Smithy Boats, for keeping this up to date on the fish tank news and happenings. I really appreciate the fish facts there. That's my favorite part of Fish Tank, is the fish facts. But I also enjoy the bum facts. So these Tic Tacs, there was one that I guess they had seen like floating around near Alaska, and I think it crashed. But
have you seen the one that they have where it's flying past an aircraft? I think there's 2 of them now. There's one where it was like a model from like Colombia or something. She recorded it on her, I think, private jet. And then there's another one I just saw today, actually, where there's one flying right past an aircraft, like maybe 20 feet. See if I can find that for you.
So you're thinking, based on what you saw, like with this clip that was over here, this one here, and the stuff that you saw in real life, do you think that that's like, this is legit?
So I do think it's legit. I think it is something. What it is, I'm not sure. I lean more towards it being, just some technology we're not familiar with just because it hasn't been released. Maybe they're testing stuff out, or it could be the United States, could be Russia, China, whoever. I'm not sure. It is weird though that none of these things ever seem to, I guess, directly engage the people recording it. It's usually like with the Tic Tac video, they chase it, tries to get away, it's trying to avoid them. A lot of these videos, like the one we're watching right now with the ball or the orb, they're just floating around, which to me is, coming from a military background, tells me that they're more like doing reconnaissance.
And you saw these things floating around, not falling?
Yeah, I saw them not floating, but like flying, like how it is in the video.
Basically, just going in a straight line.
Just going in a straight
vertically.
line. They would make sudden turns sometimes. Just going in a straight line. From where I was flying, the altitude I was flying at, it's hard to tell, if they're going up or down, or if they're following us, or if they're, just cutting through the neighborhood.
But it never like impacted the ground?
No, I never followed one long enough to see where it stopped at. Most of the time we'd be scanning, find one, lock onto it, and track it for a couple miles, and then drop it. Just because we were focused more on what we were doing, what we were supposed to be doing originally, whatever mission we were doing.
That's just nuts. Have you seen pictures of Starlink, the satellites flying in the sky?
Yeah, so I was actually in Iraq when they launched those, and I wasn't aware of them. I was just sitting outside, smoking and joking, and someone said, "Look in the sky. Look at, like, what is that?" And we saw the whole Starlink system just flying through the air. And to me, I was like, "Oh, this is definitely aliens. Like, we're getting invaded. It's like the end of the world." But when I was able to get to my phone and stuff, it was all over the news because a lot of people had seen it and freaked out about it. But I thought that was pretty interesting too, because seeing all the orbs and not knowing about Starlink, and then seeing the satellites, was pretty freaky.
They kind of look like this for the viewers out there, what we're talking about, these Starlink satellite trains. I've actually seen them before a couple times. The first time I saw it, I didn't even know what the heck it was. I thought, here I am sitting here seeing a whole train of UFOs coming through, but it's just, all it is just a line of the Elon Musk satellites floating through.
Let me see. I think I found the video. Let me send it to you real quick.
All right.
Hopefully you can't hear my keyboard. Oh, where'd it go? Nope, that is not it. There it is. All right. There you go. I posted it for you.
All right, what are we looking at here?
All right, so as it plays, you'll see right in front of it, there's this object fly by, and that one looks more like a diamond shape, I guess. No, maybe not.
It's like a little bit of a edges to
little
it,
bit.
like
It looks
a diamond,
more rounded.
triangular.
It looks like it's like a kind of like a ball with like a ring around it, I guess. But there's another one I found. I can't find that one. Probably have to dig for it. I think it's a little bit older. But that's probably the closest I've seen of somebody actually capturing one of these with, like, they're right next to it.
And you don't think that that's like you think it's
Well, to me that also, like, if you pause it, or when it pauses,
like,
it does look very metallic, and your stereotypical UFO. But at the same time, I still think it's just, we've made something. Maybe someone higher up in the government, Skunk Works, or someone, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, one of those companies, they do nothing but try to develop stuff that's better than what we have. And, maybe one day we'll be told what it is, but I think it's just man-made, to be honest. Part of me hopes that it's not, and that it is, some crazy alien stuff, because that'd be awesome. But at the end of the day, I think it's really just us making some cool stuff and just testing it out.
I think it's demons. You want to go into the next link?
Oh yeah, we can.
Which one was it? This one here? The
Stephen Greer
CE5?
Yeah, CE5.
You want me to play
So
it?
if you guys aren't familiar with CE5, there's this lovely documentary that I found on, I believe it was Amazon. Not sure how much it was. I think it was like $20 maybe at most. But if it's basically a documentary about Dr. Stephen Greer's what he calls the CE5 experience, which is the close encounters. And essentially what they do is they go out to Dr. Stephen Greer's, I believe it's his home, out in the middle of Arizona, middle of nowhere. They gather everybody up. They show them how to, I believe they meditate is how they describe it. But they essentially communicate with what they call aliens or energy balls, and they get them to fly down. They'll sit around a campfire and they'll get them to fly down and interact with the people around them. And they've had supposedly they've had like a lot of success with it. And they bring people go out there all the time to go, see if they can see anything or communicate. But they have a lot of crazy stories in the documentary. I think one of the stories is a guy had cancer or something, and they were out there one night really late. Everybody kind of packed up, went home, and then this one gentleman had stayed longer than everybody else, and he had a crazy experience where a ball of light came down, like I think it flew around him or just sat next to him or something, and he says it communicated with him, like he could feel it communicating, I believe. And then the next morning when he woke up, he felt different but better, like different in a good way. And he had run some tests a couple months later for his cancer or whatever illness he had, and it was completely gone. So I just thought it was pretty interesting. I think in this clip they actually show some of the imagery that they've taken, because they have cameras and everything out there. They have a special camera. I think it's a special camera or a special mode on the camera where they can take images like in slow motion or something, or they take a lot of images so they can break down what's actually happening, and you can see the balls of light. Now it could be an anomaly with the camera, it could be just where they're at, the light from the fire or whatever, whatever devices they have out there just messing with the camera, but it's still pretty interesting.
You want me to play it with sound?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The first thing that got me so excited about CE5 and experiencing the phenomena were these amazing photos that Dr. Greer had started publishing. These photos showed me that it wasn't about seeing flying saucers or orbs floating in the sky. It was about the beings themselves who were occupying.
Oh, actually, I guess this is the full movie, so you can watch it on YouTube for free.
Oh, I wonder what part of Bangladesh she's from.
Wow. Yeah.
I had a night scope on it, and it turned and curved towards this object that was not a meteorite or meteor. It came in and curved to this. That just turned red, by the way.
If there is monitoring of the area by intelligence or military, they could be hovering right outside the circle of people, but they wouldn't be visible to naked eye. But interestingly, these new digital cameras with their CCDs, their light cells, will pick on.
Why does this guy have a goofy mouth? He looks like a mantis person.
From Arlington, Texas. During the expeditions, I'll do a lot of photography.
I don't know. He is definitely
I'll take pictures.
interesting looking individual.
It just seems like his skull doesn't fit into his skin suit.
3,000 pictures a night sometimes that we take. And we
Now, that's
try
a
to
wild
cover as much
picture.
of the
So
sky as
they're seeing
possible,
these things
as
go
much
into
of the time as
their
possible.
fire.
Constantly shooting.
So essentially what they say is they fly. Sometimes they'll, it depends on, they say it depends on the group and how good the group is at meditating. A lot of the times they say it depends on how open the people are to it, but they'll come down and fly around their campfire. Sometimes they'll be off in the distance and they'll interact with the laser. I think they should flip of it here soon, but they'll interact with a laser that they point in the sky.
Man. Now that Bangladeshi woman that was on there earlier, I just want to remind the folks that we have a 99-cent TTS, and it's in an Indian accent tonight.
Ooh, what's TTS?
That's text to speech.
Sorry, not familiar. Text to speech.
So you can send a super chat for $1 or a donation in the link in the description, and it'll talk to us in Bangladeshi.
That's pretty awesome.
Right? How long is this movie?
I believe it's like about an hour and a half.
Damn.
Most people have no clue
There's
that
an
in
ad. I'm pausing this
2023
ad. I'm not playing this.
Well, if you can take it off.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the rest of, I think it's almost done. I think it's about 47 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Or-
almost done.
7-minute mark. Yeah.
It's 47 more minutes. That's pretty nuts. So they're shining a laser at through the NVGs at these things, and they're responding to it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
great.
I don't know if they're shooting the laser through the NVGs, but they're recording.
They're shooting
with
a
the-
laser.
Yeah, they're shooting a laser. And I know there's another. I've seen other people do it, where they'll put a laser pointer in the sky, and lights will come and interact with it. But he supposedly has really good success. I was interested in going. I don't know. I have to look up how to do that, but I think he holds like an annual event or something.
Damn. We got a couple chats here. We have Quantum Fluctuation. Welcome to the chat. He says he is also an alien. Well, Quantum.
Let me get your autograph.
Yeah, if you are an alien, let me just go ahead and put this out there too. Hold on. Where do we go? I gotta send this to myself.
No worries. Have you ever seen anything crazy in the sky?
Me, no, and that's the funny thing is like these things I enjoy, this topic I enjoy, but I've never seen anything firsthand or had any experiences, and I really honestly feel that it's just it's just demons. But okay, so
it's a weird
the link here.
experience. It's definitely weird seeing stuff flying around that you can't identify.
Sylvie is streaming right now, and she's pausing every 5 seconds. What is she pausing? She's pausing a video, or is she playing the Fish Tank new episode? All right, so I got this URL here. I'm gonna post in the one of my mods is gonna post in the chat.
Chad Limesall said it's FOD. He's a helicopter pilot, an aviation enthusiast. I would agree with you. It's definitely FOD.
There's this Discord link. If you're an alien, Quantum Fluctuation, you can go ahead and join the Discord, and we'll bring you in on the call here. You can talk about how you're an alien. If anybody else is in the chat, they can go ahead and click that Discord link, and we can call in. You can call into the show right now. We could talk about whatever you want to talk about, UFO, alien related. So there is that option. We also have. Let's see here. Was there another video? Was that it?
I
What
think
is
that's
this?
the one I sent you. That's the one, the close experience. I sent you another one, but I don't know. I don't think that one was very interesting. It was a Vice video. I don't remember honestly what it was about. I remember I think it was similar to the CE5 documentary.
Alien hunting.
Yeah.
Let's pull it up.
We are the past, present, and future.
You should call in, come onto the Discord, and tell us about the past, the present, and the future.
Oh, you definitely should.
All right, here's that link. We'll take a gander at it. It's a minute long ad. Great, wonderful.
Gotta love ads.
14 minutes. Let's
Really,
this dude again.
Even if
Yeah, he's becoming very
it's
popular.
highly controversial.
He has to be a
Are you
Mantis
open
person.
to
So I don't know if you're familiar with the Sean Ryan show, but he has a whole episode with him, and I want to say it's like 2 hours long, where he goes in depth talking about all the things he's seen and what's going on, and explains his background and everything he's done. It was a really good episode, actually. And then I think the Skinwalker Ranch guy, you guys are familiar with the Skinwalker Ranch show on History Channel. The guy that actually owns Skinwalker Ranch now was on the Sean Ryan show as well. And he's got some wild stories.
At Skinwalker Ranch, there was
claiming to have any ET
shoot, that guy that the thread that I was talking about, that ex CIA whatever guy that was working with the aliens. He mentioned something about Skinwalker Ranch. I think he was saying that that ship in the ocean has some association with it in some kind of way.
That's weird. There's another one. I think it's only one season right now. I think that the second season's supposed to come out next year. It's called like Lizard Lick Ranch or something. It's literally like right down the street from Skinwalker Ranch. But they also have a lot of weird anomalies happen. They've been trying to dig into the ground. They found some treasure or something, and the whole time they're trying to get into this cavern. It's filled with water, so they're trying to get into it, and the whole time there's helicopters flying over, and just all sorts of weird stuff happens.
Lizard Lick towing.
What's that?
Mind Quad says lizard lick towing.
Yes. No. Not lizard lick towing.
Are you sure? He sounds like an expert in it.
That too, and it's pretty. That's probably the closest thing I'll ever get to actually seeing aliens. There's some wild stuff on that show.
Quantum Fluctuation says clearing inner space from semantic space.
I think he meant to say schematic.
Schematic?
Semantic. Semantic.
All right.
Maybe I'm just a little slow. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear quantum fluctuation. I think that's pretty much all the topics that we have for tonight.
Yeah, I think so. Unless you got anything else, if anybody wants to ask any questions or anything.
Do we have anybody else in the chat that wants any other input? I'm going to take this moment right now to remind everybody, in the description, we have our sponsor for the night, Continue to Scan. Their link is this website here, NSTR. Right? They're a very lovely sponsor with some beautiful quality clothing here. We have this wonderful t-shirt with an ISIS flag. I'm sure no affiliation. We also have this beautiful, look at the quality on this hoodie here. These laces that we have for the hoodie, you don't see that in cheap hoodies, okay? That crisp, clear NSTR logo is very nice, and I enjoy. It's something that I wear every winter. It's my favorite. It keeps me warm. And then we also have the NSTR ball cap. So these are all really nice stuff. This is our sponsor, NSTR. The link is in the description. Go ahead and check them out if you feel like or choose like. What else do we have here? It says a UFO could destroy the Earth so quick if it wanted. And I can't say any more fish tank chats without breaking TOS. Wonderful Smithy Boats, Quantum, Mind Quad, everybody that it was in the chat today interacting. Appreciate you all for being here. I think we're pretty much wrapping it up for the night. Thank you guys for being here. Episode 0, we talked a lot about UFOs and aliens, and I think the next topic for the next week's stream will be on cryptids. We'll go a little bit into Bigfoot and Chupacabra and all that stuff, Taco Bell. So that'll be the next topic for the next stream next week. Thank you all for being here. It was a wonderful time, and thank you to my co-host, NSTR. NSTR, thank you for being here, Mr. NSTR.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the support. If you guys want to head to our website and purchase some merchandise, we'll be adding more stuff there shortly. We just started. If you guys just joined, we just started about 2 weeks ago, and we've got an Instagram page as well. That's at the top of the screen here. Not significant enough, where we talk about leadership, mental health, just all sorts of randomness. We're trying to expand and grow, so if you guys want to come show us some love and follow and share, it'd be greatly appreciated.
He also has a wonderful Instagram here at Not Significant Enough, so go ahead and check him out.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, thank you all for being here, and that's pretty much it for tonight's show. Good night. Be safe. Don't let the aliens get you. And God bless you all, every single one of you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.